We are back in the land of Kemet. The sun bleeds into the horizon, painting clouds with fire. The day is ending. Soon, darkness will be draped across the desert. The heat will break. Then the entrance is sealed with the bodies of 14 criminals. He receives ambassadors from lands he doesn't know, speaking their languages, bartering for peace, waging wars for pride. Imagine Ra, the sun god, riding across the heavens in his solar bark, battling the forces of chaos. See Anubis, the guardian of the scales, weighing the heart of the dead against the feather of truth. Journey with Osiris, the god of the underworld, through the halls of the field of reeds. Do you feel the balance of Mohat, the cosmic order, all around you? Are you at peace? Good. Rest now, until the sun paints the eastern sky. Once more, your journey ends here, traveler, and yet it may begin again. If you wish, you may return to the land of Kemet, follow the Book of the Dead, or explore more stories from history's greatest civilizations. Choose your path wisely, for the echoes of the past await. And yet, he feels removed. It is his duty to be impartial, to be eternal, to be unchanging. But the Nile flows on. The seasons turn. The people age and die and are born again. And he remains the same, locked in amber, worshipped and feared, touching the lives of thousands and never feeling their touch. At sunset, he walks the back. Below him, the city glows like amber. Above him, the gods are fixed in the night sky. To the east, the sun dips below the dunes, reborn in fire. And he wonders if tomorrow will bring wisdom, if tomorrow he will find rest, if tomorrow the world will make sense. But dawn comes again. The priests wake him with their songs. And once more, the Pharaoh prepares for the endless cycle of sun and sand, of gods and men, of eternity and dust. They are sacrificed so the Pharaoh can pass, alone, into the dark unknown. There, beyond the veil, is the field of reeds. And there, according to legend, the dead king awaits his rebirth. With each step, the Pharaoh leaves behind a piece of his humanity. Now, he kneels. The first rays of dawn touch his brow. He is ready. The doors of the tomb slide open, and for the first time, the Pharaoh speaks as one with Ra. He utters the daily words of creation, calling light into darkness. As the sun climbs higher, he sees the world as Ra sees it, small, distant. Like the Pharaoh, the people have gathered. On this day of rebirth, they, to face east. They, too, offer prayers and gifts. They, too, hope for a good harvest, for strong borders, for a healthy king. But only he can hear their pleas. Only he can answer their faith. And so he turns away. The golden crown settles on his head. Its serpent coils tight, its vulture wings spread wide. He is a god now, a god trapped in human form. And he walks back to the palace. The city waits. The court awaits. The queen awaits. But none can enter. The Pharaoh must be alone. Only the gods are worthy. But for the Pharaoh, there is no night, no rest. For his father is dead, and he must now step into his shoes. That is not an easy task. The old Pharaoh, a man who had been called both god and worm, is laid out on a golden bier. Priests chant the Book of the Dead. The Queen Mother, her face hidden behind a ceremonial mask, wails for a lost king. And the new Pharaoh stands frozen, unable to speak. How does one become a god? What magic words? What spells? What offerings? And still, the priests push him forward. The bier is moved. The procession snakes through moonlit streets, past crowds who clutch the ground in reverence, their heads shaved in grief, to Tahaka, the final resting place, where the Nile flows into the underworld. The journey takes 72 days. Each day, the priests perform a different ritual. Each night, the Pharaoh must hold the hand of the dead king, pretending to guide him toward the afterlife. It is a lonely vigil. And still, it must continue. In the grand tomb, beneath a canopy of gold and lapis lazuli, the last rites are performed. As the day grows long and hot, the new Pharaoh sits in his court. He weighs petitions against ritual, justice against custom. Now, close your eyes, Travala, and let the desert wind whisper tales of the afterlife.
Are you ready, traveler, to step back in time and uncover the unsettling truths behind the glitz and glory of ancient Egypt? I invite you to take a deep breath, sink into the coolness of the shadows, and let your consciousness drift back to 2,000 years ago. You find yourself standing at the edge of the bustling city of Thebes, The air buzzes with talk of the pharaoh and his latest conquests, of temple rituals, and of the looming mystery of the afterlife. Their words weave a tapestry of intrigue, superstition, and reverence that helps you understand the complexities of Egyptian society. Before you stretches a wide avenue leading to the majestic temple of Karnak, your destination. But you're not just a tourist. No, you are a time traveler, stepping into a world where pharaohs held godlike status, where the mysteries of the afterlife were deeply intertwined with daily life, and where every whisper could echo through eternity. The art adorning the temple walls tells vivid stories of Egyptian mythology, depicting gods with animal heads and human torsos, each representing different aspects of the divine realm. You encounter images of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the dead, guiding souls to the underworld. You see Osiris, the god of the afterlife, rising from the dead with the help of his wife and sister, Isis. And you witness the legend of Ra, the sun god, sailing across the sky each day in his solar boat, battling the forces of chaos. For within these hallowed halls lie countless stories waiting to be discovered, secrets yearning to be uncovered. Will you follow the winding corridors leading to the royal palace? Or perhaps you'll venture into the bustling marketplace, immersing yourself in the sights, sounds, and intrigues of everyday life in Thebes. The choice, dear traveler, is yours. Where will you go next? Are you ready, traveler, to take the next step on your journey through ancient Egypt? Or will you brave the vibrant chaos of the marketplace, where danger lurks alongside the everyday transactions of life in Thebes? The decision is yours, traveler. Where will your journey through ancient Egypt take you next? The decisions you make, the choices you face, and the secrets you uncover will shape your adventure. Choose wisely, traveler, for in ancient Egypt, every choice has consequences. These stories not only entertain, but also provide insight into the Egyptians' understanding of the world and their place within it. As you make your way through the city, you start to hear snippets of conversations among the common folk. Inside, you find a mummy, carefully wrapped and adorned with precious artifacts. If, however, the bustling energy of everyday life calls to you, with its mix of danger, intrigue, and cultural immersion, then make your way to the heart of the city and explore the vibrant marketplace. But as you delve deeper into the tomb's secrets, you begin to uncover a darker side to the high priest's life. Don't forget to stay tuned for more exciting adventures. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and may your journeys be filled with wonder and discovery, just like those of our ancient ancestors. You find evidence of secret societies, forbidden rituals, and whispers of a hidden cult. The high priest's supposed piety may have been just a facade, concealing a web of deceit and darkness. The tomb becomes a microcosm of Egyptian society, where appearances can be deceiving, and even the holiest of places can harbor the darkest of secrets. This is the tomb of an ancient priest, but it's not just any priest. The secrets you've uncovered challenge your perceptions of Egyptian culture, leaving you questioning the nature of power, faith, and the lengths to which people will go to protect their secrets. You've uncovered the heart of the matter. The high priest's tomb wasn't just a burial site. It was a labyrinth of secrets, reflecting the complex and often contradictory nature of Egyptian society. The clash between piety and corruption, tradition and innovation, and the eternal struggle for power and knowledge. It was a testament to the enduring legacy of ancient Egypt, a civilization that continues to fascinate and intrigue us thousands of years later. As you examine the artifacts, you discover that this was the high priest of Amen, a powerful and influential figure in Egyptian society. His tomb is filled with treasures, including gold jewelry, amulets, and even a small fortune in silver and copper coins. The wealth and opulence of the tomb reflect the high priestess' status, and the wealth generated by the temple complex. You reach the temple and stop in awe before its colossal entrance. The towering statues of gods and pharaohs seem to come alive in the flickering torchlight. The priests' faces are covered in masks, hiding their features from view. Why would they conceal themselves in such a public display of worship? What secrets do these masks hold? Intrigued, you decide to investigate. The moment you step inside, you are engulfed in an atmosphere of hushed reverence and wonder. Sunlight streams through gaps in the ceiling, illuminating hieroglyphs that tell tales of pharaohs and gods. The scent of incense mingles with the murmur of priests and the rustle of worshippers. You find yourself swept up in the grandeur of the rituals unfolding before you. As the ceremony reaches its climax, you notice something unsettling. Your journey takes you deeper into the temple complex, where you discover an array of chambers, each with its own secrets and stories. One room is dedicated to the Book of the Dead, an ancient text containing spells and incantations meant to guide the soul through the underworld. As you trace the intricate illustrations and ponder the cryptic texts, you realize that the journey to the afterlife was not a peaceful one. It was fraught with peril and required careful preparation. The Egyptians believed that after death, the soul had to navigate a series of trials and challenges, facing terrifying creatures and undergoing tests of courage, wisdom, and purity. To ensure safe passage, the deceased's loved ones would perform elaborate rituals, offer sacrifices, and provide them with everything they might need on their journey. The Book of the Dead became a central part of Egyptian funerary practices, reflecting the Egyptians' fascination with the afterlife and their desire to ensure the well-being of their departed loved ones. But it's not just the rituals that captivate you. As you continue your exploration, you stumble upon a hidden chamber. The high priest wasn't just a religious leader. He was also a political and economic powerhouse, controlling vast lands and resources and wielding significant influence over the pharaoh himself. As you emerge from the tomb, you find yourself changed by the journey, and as you stand before the majestic temple of Karnak, you realize that your journey has just begun. To continue your adventure, I invite you to choose your path. The royal palace, a labyrinth of luxury and secrets, beckons with promises of intrigue and hidden agendas. If you seek the glittering world of royalty, intrigue, and hidden agendas, then follow the winding corridors leading to the royal palace. Whichever path you choose, remember, your journey is your own. Where will you go? The royal palace or the marketplace? Thank you for joining me on this journey through ancient Egypt. Now drift further, deeper still. As the air cools and the golden hush of dusk settles across the valley, let your thoughts lie beside the pharaoh, beneath carved ceilings and golden statues, where every breath echoes with eternity. For even now, even in the bloom of youth or the height of power, the pharaoh must think of death. Let your limbs grow heavy, like statues waiting to be placed in shadowed alcoves. Soon, we will follow the final procession, but not yet, for there is still more to understand, still more to witness in this strange, sacred life. In the next chapter, we will see how betrayal shadows the crown, how brothers, priests, and foreign powers circled like vultures in the hot sky, and how even a pharaoh, wrapped in gold and guarded by gods, could fall. For now, let the tomb close gently behind us. Let the incense fade. Let your breath slow, your muscles soften, as if you, too, are being gently prepared, not for death, but for deep, undisturbed rest. At times, the pharaoh visits the tomb. In disguise, he inspects its chambers, touches the cold sarcophagus lid, imagines himself lying within. What will he wear? What treasures will surround him? His favorite harp, a comb carved from ivory, a tiny wooden servant, meant to come to life in the afterlife and serve him again. Death must be luxurious, or else, what is the point of ruling? But here lies the true tragedy. In preparing for the next world, he begins to forget this one. He trusts no one. He speaks only in riddles. He cannot show grief when his mother dies, for the god does not mourn. He cannot laugh with his son, for the god does not play. He cannot weep when his soldiers fall in battle, for the god must appear immortal. He is alive, but slowly buried, layer by layer, like the tomb itself, not as an end, but as a kingdom, one he must rule with preparation, with precision, with fear disguised as faith. To die unprepared is the greatest failure of all. And so, from the day of coronation, the pharaoh begins planning his burial, his pyramid, if his reign is early, his tomb, if he rules in the later dynasties, hidden deep in the Valley of the Kings. It will be dug and carved in silence for decades, a secret known only to a chosen few. Not even all the priests may speak of it, for if the location is revealed, it may be robbed. And if the tomb is robbed, the pharaoh's soul is doomed to wander, never to join Ra in his celestial bark. Inside the palace, artisans begin their quiet task. Sarcophagi are commissioned, layers upon layers, like nesting dolls, carved from cedar, from gold, from obsidian. Amulets are shaped, the Eye of Horus for protection, the scarab for rebirth, the Ankh for eternal life. Scribes prepare the Book of the Dead, spells, passwords, and instructions for the soul's perilous journey, because the afterlife is not peaceful, not at first. It is a trial full of gates and demons, rivers of fire, questions and riddles, scales and judgment. The pharaoh must pass them all, and so his tomb becomes a map, a fortress, a ship. Now, inhale slowly. Imagine the cool scent of stone dust, pigment and burning oil lamps. You are walking with the painters. They move in single file down narrow shafts where no light but their torches guide them. They mixed ochre and lapis with egg and honey, painting jackals, serpents, gods with lion heads, and falcon wings. Each wall tells a story. The pharaoh's victories, his offerings, his transformation. He would be shown being weighed on the scales, his heart against the feather of Mom. If his heart is too heavy with sin, it will be devoured by Amid, the soul eater, and the pharaoh will vanish forever. But sin is not always visible. A pharaoh may have murdered. He may have ordered executions. He may have condemned slaves to starvation. But none of it matters if the tomb is perfect. If the spells are correct. If the heart is mummified light enough, the gods forgive. When the rituals are right. And so the pharaoh becomes obsessed with precision. Each statue carved to face west, toward the land of the dead. Each amulet placed in the proper hand. Each linen wrapping counted, 300 or more, in exact sequence. To forget one step is to invite damnation. And still, he lives, smiles, rules. But in the back of his mind, every feast tastes faintly of dust. Every victory echoes like footsteps in a tomb. Every night, the stars remind him, you are not truly alive. You are only preparing to die. Well, soft pause. Let your breath be as steady as a priest's chant. Let silence settle now, like sand drifting through the cracks of time. Close your eyes now. Imagine the Nile Delta, where the river splits the land, just as the God King divides the sky. From heaven, he rules. On earth, he is mortal. Courtiers carry knives under their robes. The guard captain eyes the weapons of every newcomer. Gold comes from the south, incense from the east. Slaves built the pyramids and temples while commoners plant grain and make papyrus. The scribes record every detail. The generals lead their armies. The priests pray to gods who may or may not care. The queen sits alone in her chamber. Her son sleeps in the cradle. Beside her, the pharaoh paces. His sandals squeak on the polished floor. He is talking, but you cannot hear his words. You are far away now. You are the new advisor, the slave girl who caught the pharaoh's eye, the general's daughter. You are anyone and everyone. You are the face of the pharaoh, and now you are the pharaoh. The palace is yours. Its treasures, its burdens, its betrayals. Welcome. You are safe now. The throne awaits. The gods will protect you. The dead will watch over you. Nothing can touch you in the palace. Nothing except you. The queen combs her hair for hours, her ladies in waiting watching. Her fingers move with exquisite grace, sure and slow. For every stroke reveals another year of her life passing. A year closer to the pharaoh's whim. A year closer to death. What is a queen without a king to command her? Without a crown to wear? Without a throne to grace? The queen combs, and she dreams of jasmine and steel. Of jewels heavier than the crown she will never wear. Of desert nights and cool marble. The palace is filled with women like this. Beautiful, deadly, dangerous. Each serving the pharaoh. Each hoping to become the last pharaoh. He can drown, be poisoned, have his blood spilled on the ground. The pharaoh is scared. It is a doorway. He pays handsomely for each tomb planned, each sarcophagus crafted, each pyramid aligned to the stars. But even kings fear the dark hour, when ritual ends and the eternal night creeps close. You have been warned. Do not enter the shadows of the pharaoh. Do not breathe his fears, or you, too, may find yourself trapped in an eternity of dust. Now, look beyond the shining gold and the lapis lazuli. Look into the palace where silk tapestries hide chipped paint and crumbling mortar. Look past the feasts, the dancing girls, the intoxicated nobles. Look into the chambers where courtiers gossip about poisons and hidden airs, where the queen mother smiles, her eyes never leaving the throne, where the vizier smooths his beard, hiding the scar that climbs his cheek. Close your eyes and feel the weight of all eyes upon you. Now imagine standing before the pharaoh. You must not be envious. You must not blink first. You must not draw breath. The pharaoh's gaze is lethal. If he dislikes you, you are gone. Tomorrow, banished, drowned, lost in the desert. He is a capricious god. The vizier dares not speak unless spoken to. The general does not meet the pharaoh's eye when he enters the court. The queen mother curtsies low, almost touching the floor with her fingers. Every inch of decorum is a shield. Every word is a test. The slightest slip could bring ruin, death, exile. How does it feel? To walk on eggshells, to live in whispers, to be a fly on the wall, to watch divinity in its gilded cage. Can you endure this pressure? Can you pretend there is more? Deeper in the palace, the walls bleed secrets. The servants talk in code. It is a twisted game. Outside the palace walls, sandstorms brew. The river floods, the fields, the granaries overflow. And now, the end has come. The Pharaoh, son of the sun, voice of the gods, ruler of the two lands, has taken his final breath. But there is no silence, because the death of a pharaoh is not an ending. It is a ceremony, a command, a crossing between worlds, and all Egypt must watch. The body is taken, not like any man, but like a statue of divine flesh. First, the priests arrive, faces veiled, hands perfumed. They chant the old prayers, words older than papyrus, older than pyramids. Then they wash the pharaoh's body in sacred Nile water, salt it, wrap it, anoint it with oils, cedar, myrrh, frankincense. Let your heart beat slow, as if you were entering the tomb, step by sacred step. The innermost chamber is cool. The sarcophagus glows faintly by around it. Onyx statues stand guard, some with crocodile heads, some with lion faces, all with judgment in their carved eyes. The pharaoh is laid within, lid sealed, spells the air thick with resin and rosewood. The walls shimmer with painted stories of his life, conquests, offerings, dreams, all to tell the gods, I am worthy. But then, the real fear begins. For now, he is alone, not in silence, but in trial. His soul must travel through the duats, the underworld, passing demons, rivers of fire, cursed spirits, and gods with scales in their hands. He must remember the secret names. He must recite the 42 negative confessions. I have not killed. I have not stolen. I have not lied. He must hope that the embalmer wrapped his sins tightly, that the heart placed on the golden scale is light, because if it is heavy, Amit waits, the devourer, part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus. She needs only one bite, not to preserve memory, but to prepare him for judgment. Every wrapping is whispered over, for the pharaoh now belongs to the gods. He is no longer a man, not even a memory. He is a story. Already the rituals continue. The cycle never stops, because death, in Egypt, is not the end of power. It is a transfer, from flesh to eternity. But for now, let the tomb doors close. Let the chanting fade. Let your thoughts drift into silence, long and deep, like shadows in a chamber sealed for all time. Sleep, like the pharaoh does now, between this world and the one that waits beyond. And the living must begin their own journey toward the grave, carved in stone, told in whispers, painted on walls that only the dead will ever see again. Rest now, as if your soul is sailing across a black river, guided by stars that do not move. Every amulet placed with care, beneath the tongue, across the heart, behind the knees, so that every step in the afterlife may be guided. Listen, as though you can hear the slow rattle of linen, winding round and round bone. Silence. The procession begins. It is long, slow, heavy. Oxen draw the ceremonial bark, a golden boat upon wheels, where the body lies in its shrine. Even now, especially now, the pharaoh is watching. To cry is to show loyalty. To remain silent may be remembered. And remembrance, in Egypt, is everything. Priests walk before, pouring milk, casting herbs, scattering sand in patterns that mean something only the gods remember. A sacred blade touched to the lips of the mummy, so that he may breathe again, may speak again, may eat. The high priest, masked as Anubis, speaks spells into the stone. Each item placed within the tomb is catalogued by scribes. Jars of honey, loaves of bread, beer sealed with wax, furniture tools, weapons, shabti figurines, servants carved from clay, painted and spellbound to obey in the next life. Behind them, the mourners, professional wailers with shaved heads and dust-covered feet. They scream into the desert wind, tearing at their clothes. Because grief, too, is a ritual. The people line the roads. Some weep, some pray, some kneel in fear. At the tomb's mouth, the rituals deepen. The opening of the mouth. These are not gifts. They are necessities. For a god must not want for anything, even in death. Let your breath become still. The priests sealed the tomb, not just to protect, but to trap the sacred. Back in the palace, a new pharaoh is crowned. In our next chapter, We will reflect on the mythology the pharaohs lived by, and the weight of being called a god among mortals. Now let us drift now, not forward, but deeper, not through tombs, but through thought. For, though the pharaoh is gone from this world, the myths that built his life still echo. The very foundations of his rule, woven from legend, fear, and faith, stories whispered in golden temples, and carved in stone for all time. The pharaoh was not simply king, he was divine, the earthly form of Horus, the falcon god of the sky. Upon death, he became Osiris, lord of the afterlife. His blood was sacred, his breath, the wind over the Nile, his word, law. But behind the gold and incense, behind the sun discs and serpent crowns, there was a man, and no man can truly be a god. Imagine the weight of that belief, to be born into it, to be told, before your first step, your first word, that you are divine, that your body is the bridge between earth and heaven, that your will shapes crops and floods and stars. Even when you're hungry, even when you're tired, even when you're lonely, you must glow. That's what it means to be the pharaoh's son. But divinity comes at a price. The pharaoh could not laugh too loud, cry too openly, love too freely. He was not allowed mistakes, illness, or aging. He could not be human. Even as his bones ached, and his teeth rotted, and his breath shortened, even as dreams turned to nightmares. Pause here, and breathe. Imagine wearing a crown so heavy, you forget how your own head feels without it. Some pharaohs tried to escape. There are stories of one who tried to erase all gods but one, who built sunlit temples with no roofs, who worshipped only the Aten, the solar disk, and renamed himself Akhenaten. He ruled with dreams and visions, not swords, and for a while it seemed he had broken free. But when he died, the old gods returned. His name was chiseled out of history, his statues shattered, his city buried by sand. Because no pharaoh rules the gods rule the pharaoh. And then there was the boy king, Tutankhamun. You may know his name, but he died young, perhaps murdered, perhaps cursed. His tomb was small, rushed, forgotten, until it was found thousands of years later, nearly intact. Inside, gold, splendor, silence. A boy encased in ritual he barely understood, because even the young are not spared from myth. In the pharaoh's court, myth shaped reality. If the crops failed, it was because Moat had been disturbed. If a comet streaked across the sky, it was a god's anger. If twins were born, a sign, perhaps, of divine conflict. The pharaoh was expected to respond with rituals, with blood, with fire, with silence. His days spent trying to match the rhythm of legends, even as time wore him down. Now, let yourself drift through sacred scrolls, past feathered quills and silent scribes. What is the cost of being worshipped? What happens to a man who is never told no, who is never touched without permission, who cannot die without performance? There is madness in isolation, and the pharaoh lived wrapped in it, like linen around a mummy. Some whispered to statues, some spoke only in riddles, some stopped speaking entirely. Yet still, they were remembered, because they built, and what they built endured. Obelisks that reached toward, Aura temples aligned with tombs filled with stars and spells. They were gods, but also men. And men, in their fear of being forgotten, carved themselves into forever. Pause. Feel the weight of that thought settle like sand in an hourglass. The pharaoh was divine. Yes, but he was also trapped by his birth, by his title, by the myths that promised eternal life and delivered only endless expectation. Now, let us leave behind the smoke and gold. Let us step gently from the land of the gods, back to the land of the living, but slowly, softly, not heavy, but grounding. The pharaohs remind us of power's price, of what it costs to be worshipped. They lived surrounded by voices that said yes, and perished, not knowing what it meant to be human, not carved in stone, but carried in warmth, in peace, and in silence. Good night. They built monuments, not just from stone, but from fear, from duty, from the desperate desire not to be forgotten. And perhaps that is the most human thing of all. And now, in the quiet of your own evening, you have wandered their halls, felt the desert wind on your cheek, heard the sandals of scribes brushing across alabaster floors, smelled the frankincense that lingers long after the gods have gone. You have seen them, not as gods, but as souls, tangled in power, bound by myth, longing for something simple, something we all long for: peace, rest, sleep. For the echoes of the pharaohs still hum beneath the sand, balanced, still, weightless. Let go of titles, let go of names, let go of crowns and tombs and painted ceilings. Let go of fear and duty and even legacy. There is nothing more to carry now, nothing more to prove. Close your eyes. The temple gates are sealed. The Nile flows quietly in the distance. Papyrus rustles in the breeze. A single ibis watches from the reeds. And the sun, the same sun that once warmed 1,000 pharaohs, begins to rise again. Just for you. No gold. Just breath. Just stillness. Still whisper beneath the stone. Still rise like incense into a world that no longer remembers their names, but walks in their shadow. Still. The pharaoh is gone. His body rests in a tomb that took a lifetime to build. His soul, if the rituals held, has sailed westward with Ra, into the underworld and beyond. His temples crumble. His statues crack. His sacred scrolls, once guarded by flame and blade, are studied now under museum glass. And still, his story lives. What is legacy, if not memory carried forward by strangers? We speak his name, perhaps mispronounced, worn by time. We marvel at his jewels, his curse, his silence. But what do we understand of the man beneath the gold? The boy crowned too soon, the king who could not weep, the god who longed, quietly, to be seen as more than divine. Pause here. Feel the vastness of time press against your chest like warm linen. Now breathe slowly, as if your thoughts are feathers falling gently onto a sacred scale. Sleep now, dear dreamer. May your soul rest light upon the waters. May your journey be soft, your dreams gentle, and your name whispered only in love.